Today I am making some 80s inspired peg doll ornaments for Christmas in July. You can see I've got my Facts of Life girls here, but who is this mystery person? Well, you'll find out because we're about to make them. Hey there everybody, today we're making these adorable 80s inspired peg doll ornaments. It was last Christmas that I made a whole slew of Facts of Life ornaments, so I figured, you know what? It's Christmas in July, that's the perfect time to start on a new batch of ornaments. That way by the time Christmas rolls around, I'll have a lot of other 80s icons hanging on my tree. So I'm not going to tell you who we're going to make today, will show you which one. This is the little peg that I'm going to turn into an 80s icon because I want you to be able to guess throughout the show who I'm making, but it's a good one, trust me. So of course you start with a wooden peg doll, and you need to get an eye hook into the top of the head. See, kind of like that. That way it'll hang from your tree. See, that's Blair. She hangs. Okay, so I don't want you to do what I do because I've got this whole setup in my basement. I've got like two weights that I wedge this in between. Then I take my drill and kind of do to the top of the head. It's not super safe because it's not really fun or safe to drill into something that's round anyways. So I have two crafters that I absolutely love, and they made some peg dolls, and it looks like they had like a hand drill. So I'm going to link that video down below, and I want you to do as they do and not as I do. You can see the drill hole right there, and I'm just going to screw in my little eye hook. And you can wait till you're done painting your ornament to put the eye hook in, but I usually do it right about now. It provides a little hook for me. Plus I can kind of gauge where the face is going to be with the eye hook in. So like, yeah, that's a good face. So you may have noticed that my peg doll right now is naked. Yes, it is the flesh color. I don't typically paint the entire peg doll the flesh color first. You can see here's the nice wooden, and there's the difference. Big difference there. But what the deal is, this was actually, when I was making my Facts of Life peg dolls, I made a George Clooney. I didn't really like how it came out. And also I was like, you know, this is not on brand. My Facts of Life girls are from the early school years, and George Clooney was not around during those years. So this just doesn't make sense. So I put it back in my little work bin, and I found it, and I'm going to recycle. So what I did is I sanded it down a little bit and just painted it one color to have a surface there, just an even surface. So I am going to go ahead and paint my face, a color, and you can see it's a little bit, I don't know if the camera does pick it up, but I did add a touch of brown to it because my 80s person that I'm making right now, my 80s person, I'm still not gonna let you know, is kind of tan. So I just put just a little teeny tiny brown in there. And that's what's nice about the paints. You can really make the skin colors different with just, you know, some of the peaches and the browns and that kind of thing. So there you go. Don't have to paint all of it because there is gonna be hair there. But look how cute. I would paint just down around the neckline because the rest is going to be the clothing. But that's a great first step. So you want to let that dry completely, and you can put a second coat on if you want. You do not need a ton of craft supplies for this project. You need some craft paints, and I just get mine from either Target or Michael's. They're about 99 cents a piece. Obviously, you'll need some paintbrushes. And then if you're into the detail work and you don't trust your hand in painting, I buy some paint pens to do like the eyes and the mouth and that kind of thing. But you could always rely on just some black paint to do that too if you've got a good steady hand. A pencil is always good to have too. And then of course you will need eye hooks and your peg dolls. I'll link down below where I got my peg dolls. I just got them off of Amazon. They were very inexpensive. And then when you're at the Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever looking for the eye hooks, I just took a peg doll in so I could kind of compare the size to see which one would fit my peg doll. So, because sometimes you can get one that's really big and it looks kind of awkward on top of your peg doll. It's like the entire size of your peg doll. And then at the very end, I do use a little bit of sealer to make sure these are nice and safe and I can hang them on my tree every single year to come. I am painting on the clothes now on my 80s icon. Any guesses? And it's pretty simple. This one has their clothes are all white. So this is going to be an easy paint job. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to paint the big chunks. You can see I painted the skin color. Now I'm painting a little bit of the clothes. But I need to start thinking about the detail of this peg doll, because you have to be able to identify who it is, right? You want anybody who's looking at your tree to be like, oh my gosh, that's Nell Carter, or oh my gosh, that's New Kids on the Block, or whatever. So there are a couple ways you can go with that. One is if you're a skilled artist and you know how to paint eyes and you know how to paint clothes and you're really good at all that stuff, you're a super crafter, then go for it. That's awesome. You're going to be able to create a peg doll that looks exactly like whatever person you're trying to create here. I am not that skilled. I have to keep things really simple. So what I do is I look up an inspiration picture for one, and then I really hone in on 2 or 3 features that scream that character. And I make sure that that's incorporated into the peg doll. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have these Christmas ornaments. Aren't they cute? So I wanted you to see my Facts of Life ornaments, so you could kind of get an idea of what I meant when I said you really need to find something that's signature about that person and make it pop. So here's Mrs. Garrett, and obviously, I mean, I think everybody knows Mrs. Garrett. I put a little apron on her, and then she has the hair color that's very signature, more orange, I think, than red some seasons, but she, of course, had that little bun. This is Natalie, and I did struggle a little bit with Natalie, but I did come to the fact that Natalie was always in the blue sweater, so I made sure that she was the only peg doll that was in the blue Eastland sweater. And that's the other thing. All these girls are so signature because they're all in their Eastland uniform. So that's Natalie. Blair, of course, had the long blonde hair, so that's pretty good. And I tried to make sure that she was always wearing that maroon, is that the color? Maroon jumper that they always wore. Now Joe, here's the deal with Joe. Messy tie, and then Joe has something special on the back. She's got a ponytail. I'll talk about that in a second. And then there's Tootie. And I went with the young Tootie when she was wearing the little pigtails, because I love those seasons where she was so young and so cute. And she has the 2 pigtails too. So you're probably like, what the heck? How did you get those little, extras on there? And I do think that those little extras do add that certain pop. So I just used a little bit of this Sculpey clay. You basically roll it into whatever shape you want, and then you bake it until it's hard. And then I attach it with some wood glue. I think that really does add a lot to your characters, especially when you're, think about it. They're all the same shape. They're all the same size. So you really have to make sure you hone in on certain attributes that make it pop. And I think we did that. I just pulled these girls out of my little Rubik's Cube box that I had packed for Christmas, but they got to go back in now. Once you get to sketching out the details, you can see where a pencil would come in handy. Use the pencil to sketch out where the hairline might be, where the eyes are going, and any details on the clothing might be. I think that really will help you when you're going to paint those things. And I would definitely undershoot them. And what I mean by that is undershoot the hairline, because you'll end up painting over that pencil line. Undershoot how big you want the eyes to be, because again, you'll end up painting over top of those things. So even when you do pencil out, mistakes are made, because I want to let you know, I screwed up the lettering here on the t-shirt. So I had to paint over the white a couple of times, and I screwed up on the eyes. So I had to paint over the skin tone again. But you know what? That's part of what makes this project fun. It only takes a few little drops of paint to paint over your mistakes, and you can start over. Not a big deal. This is just a fun Christmas ornament. Do not let this stress you out. But I do hope that the little things that I have painted on here gives you more of a clue as to who this is. I will say it's a famous singer. In the 80s, he had big hair, but I can't really showcase big hair on these things, but I can showcase the very prominent streaks, blonde streaks that were famous in the 80s. And then he did wear a very famous t-shirt. I've only done a little bit of it here. So any guesses so far? All right, we're really close. I'm going to finish this guy up, and I'll show you what he looks like at the end. Here it is. It is George Michael, Wham's George Michael, from the music video Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, which, if you can believe it, that music came out in 1984, the summer of 1984. And of course, in the music video, he was wearing the iconic Choose Life t-shirt, which everybody was wearing after that. Blows my mind that it came out in the summer of 1984. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching me make this, and I hope you guessed along the way. I do have another Wham recipe on my channel. It is Last Christmas Cookies, which Last Christmas by Wham is my favorite Christmas song of all time. So I've got those cookies on my channel. I actually have a Facts of Life recipe on my channel as well. It is the Facts of Life Hunk Cocktail, which highlights the episode where Mrs. Garrett went to a male strip bar. True story. And it just made me think George Michael and Mrs. Garrett would have probably gotten along really well. Happy Christmas in July, everybody. You know, poor George Michael could have really used a Mrs. Garrett in his life, for sure.